I'm asking everybody I can for pickle juice. Pickle juice.
What's up, everybody? This is Gerald with Sweet Run, and welcome to our YouTube channel. For the last few years, we've been bringing you great conversations with amazing guests via Apple Podcast, Spotify, and anywhere else that you listen to your podcast. But now we're leveling up and giving you the ability to see the wonderful interactions we have with our amazing guests. We're not going to waste any time today. We're going to get right into our conversation with Aaron and Joshua Potts of the podcast, Two Black Runners. You talk about brotherly love and love for the sport. This is it. Enjoy the conversation.
Aaron and Joshua Potts, Two Black Runners. Welcome to the Sweet Run podcast. We are really excited to have you both on the show.
No, it's only right. You came onto our pod, but it's always an honor to be a guest on someone's podcast. I always feel like I'm a somebody when I get invited to be on somebody's podcast.
I know. I'm excited. I get to chill out. I don't got to stress about nothing. Like I'm just here chilling, having a good time with the bros. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Good.
Yes, we are the ones taking on the pressure here. No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. This is so fun.
This is easy. It's good times.
Okay, well, I know exactly where I want to start. There's no other place to start this conversation than the LA Marathon. Yeah. Aaron, you were running. Joshua, you were there, like the speedy trip back from New York City. I went on your podcast to make it there. All right, so Joshua, did you make it? Were you good? How was the spectating?
Bro, the spectating was nice, honestly. Like it was way better than I thought. Traffic wasn't too bad. At first, my dad, he drove. It was me, my mom, my dad, and then my girlfriend was also in the car, and he drove. At first, we were just going to go to the finish line. We're going to go to mile 18, but we ended up going to mile like 11, 12 in front of the Chinese theater, which I think was a really smart idea. I brought that up. I was like, wait, they're going past the Chinese theater. Like, that would be cool to be on Hollywood Boulevard. So we got to see Aaron there. We missed them at 18. I think we weren't close enough to the car. That's what happened. We weren't close enough to the car where we can get to actually 18. But then seeing him in the finish line and everything, like it was a great experience. Like honestly, I had a great time. I bought some flowers for Aaron when we were walking. I was all like, man, we need to normalize men getting flowers. So I'm gonna get Aaron some flowers. And then we got back from the marathon, and what's it called? There was a surprise welcome back party for me from being going to New York for the past 3 months and coinciding with my birthday too, which was the day before. So yeah, that day was really it was swell. It was swell. I wasn't in pain at all. Like I didn't. Well, I'll have Aaron describe his side because me describing the pain part may not take effect yet. But
yeah, I was gonna say you pain from spectating, but
oh. Well, there was a lot of pain on that day. And I think Aaron experienced most of it. I would say.
But I will say, spectating the LA Marathon as well as many others, there is a level of pain as a spectator when you're trying to support your people at multiple mile points. So respect to that. But I'm glad you guys had a good time, man.
I know. What an epic weekend with like your birthday, coming back from New York City after I didn't realize it was a 3-month stint. Yeah. And then having the LA Marathon and having your brother run. What a really fun weekend. So, Aaron, first of all, I'm stoked because I was up in the booth and got to see you cross the finish line, and we got a chance to wave as you were running past the announcer's booth. So that was really exciting. You got to tell us, how was the race?
Dude, I was already able to process it after, but I could even process it even more so. But man, like it was fun. Like I have to say, like regardless of how I finished, I had a great time. And literally, like, I set out to go and have as much fun as possible. And I was telling someone the other day, like, one of the things I'm like most proud about this whole marathon journey is that like I did not get injured. Like I made it to the line healthy. I finished healthy, and like there's nothing wrong with me. Like since I like retired from my like competitive like side of running, there was a lot of times where I would try to come back and run, and I would be hurt. I would get to a certain point and I would hurt myself because I was doing too much. And like my approach to this marathon was more so about just like having the experience. Of course, I had that goal of like 3 hours, and that was good to like hold me accountable to keep me training. There was definitely, you know, times where I missed things and stuff, and I didn't do everything I should have, but I made it to the line healthy and I finished, and I'm still healthy and I could keep on running. So it was good. But no, it was a good first experience. Like um the first like half of it, you know, I was doing my thing with questions on the run. So I was like asking people like funny questions and stuff while I was running and videotaping, talking to people, and like it just felt like it really like looking back, it kind of feels like a festival, like, you know, like that was like one of my things. Like I really, because I have friends that run marathons professionally and like do that, like you, like do go in, go crazy. But like I wanted to like me and Joshua, he says the spectating wasn't bad because we've been to the New York Marathon. So like I get what
Yeah.
you're saying, bro. Like when we were watching the New York Marathon, bro, like my feet, like I remember we walked like close to 12. We walked like a half marathon
Yeah, we
that
walked a lot
day.
that day. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I was limping around at the end, but watching all the runners coming by, it's just so inspiring, and you're just like, man, like they look like they're having like, and of course they're in pain, right, right, but it looks like a good time, and that's what I wanted to like experience, and I definitely did like experience that and took that to heart. So yeah, we saw Joshua at like I saw him at the Chinese theater, and not too long after that, I started getting like a cramp. I started getting a cramp in my calf. Probably it had to be like a mile or two after that when I got like my first cramp in my calf, and I was like, all right, let me like stop real quick, you know, stretch this out. Stop. People like, you good? I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. Happened like another time after that, but what it happened like another time after that when I was like talking to someone in the middle of the sentence. I was like, oh, and I had to like pull over and stretch. And then I was like, that had to be probably like 15, 16. You know, it's hard to keep track of the mileage, you know? And I was just like, man, like, I just gotta relax, you know, and like, shoot, like, hope I could get through the rest of this without like too many more cramps. Time I got to like 18, I could feel it just coming on strong. And I'm like, oh man, like, this might be rough. You know, I'm trying to eat, drink, do everything I can like throughout the race to like resist this. And then by the time once I get to mile 20, my friend starts running with me that was like a spectator. And I was like, oh, I was like, dude, I don't know. I feel like I knew something was about to happen to my body. I was like, yo, I'm so glad you're here right now because I've been cramping for like the past 3 to 4 miles, bro. And like, I might need to stop and get like stretched out. And then boom, out of nowhere, it just started hitting me. I started hitting me probably mile 2021, cramps in my hamstrings, cramps in my quads, like how multiple having to walk, having to stop and have someone like overstretching me out like you do before a race, like people giving me their guns to, you know, hit my thighs and quads, people giving me I'm asking everybody I can for pickle juice. Pickle juice, man. So
Okay, wait, I'm jumping in for a second
Yeah.
for multiple reasons. First of all, Joshua, did you know that any of this was going on with Aaron? Did you know he was having any cramping problems, and what did he look like when he passed you at the Man's Chinese Theater?
Oh, on Chinese theater, he was on top of the world.
I was
He was on top of the world. He was running by Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump was out
I
there with an
literally just got
outfit.
off my phone when I saw y'all.
Literally just got off the phone. Like everything was according to plan. Like and because what was thing too, I was following his pace. I wasn't following him like directly, but I'm following him each 5K and 10K. So by the time he gets to us, he's like, I don't know the exact K's what it is, but at that point, he's running like 6:45 pace. I'm all like, oh, this dude's chilling right now. Like, bro, like sub 3 is definitely happening. But then as we get towards like once we get to mile 18, we missed him. And so I was thinking like, oh man, like I can't believe we missed him. And as we're setting up by the finish line, he still has like a whole way to go before mile 18 until he gets to 26. And I see the K's like they're not coming in as fast anymore. Like it was like 6:50, and then it was like 7 minutes, and then the next one I'm all like, bro, like this hasn't came in a while, you guys. I don't know. I think Aaron hit a wall, and it was like 7:15. I'm all like, oh, this dude, I don't think he's gonna get it. He's not gonna get it. So I didn't know what to do because that was my first time on the course. And so we were just really wondering, like, man, like what's happening to Aaron? Like for his last like 5 kilometers to come in, it was taking way more than like the estimated time that they had. And then eventually I was talking to my parents, I'm like, should I go and like run a little bit to go see if this dude is okay? Like it's
Bro,
been a
I was
while. So I started
okay.
running. And then right when I started running, he's like basically coming down the finish line. We were like 100 meters or maybe even less, maybe like 60 or like 100 meters from the finish line. I see him and man looked defeated. He
I
looked
looked at him and I was like this.
shook his
Man.
head.
Well, when I
Yeah.
saw you, Aaron, you did not look like that. You look like you were like,
That's 'cause I was at the
dude,
finish. I was like, thank God this is over.
Yeah,
I
he
was
put
like,
it up, put the
God.
show on for the
you
finish.
looked so good when I saw you. I was like, yes, there he is. Okay, for everybody listening, I don't think we've said this. This was Aaron's very first marathon.
That was my next question. Like, was
That
this
is like
number one? Okay.
incredible.
This is number one. The furthest
Yeah.
I ever ran before this was 18 miles. Yeah, that's probably the first I ever run I ever done. But like, once you just in it, like people don't know, like, I was at the Olympic trials like 2 weeks before. I didn't run for like 10 days. Like, that was not good, but it was all, I thought for a moment, for a brief moment, I was like, yo, my foot feels really messed up because I was at the Olympic trials,
Mhm.
walking around a lot, like being out. I was like, dude, did I mess up my foot? Like, but I was like, I guess when I got back, I just assessed it more when I got back from that trip, and I was like, I'll be okay. Like I've been running for a minute, like I'm gonna be okay. But like,
So, what I should know this, being that I was part of the race, but I don't remember what is the mile marker. What mile are you at the band's Chinese theater? What mile is that?
12-ish.
it's close to half. It's
It's
close,
close
to
to half.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
So the interesting thing was, like, from my vantage point, so you can see the runners. You literally run on the other side of the finish line, like down Santa Monica Boulevard at like mile 18, which is kind of a tease. So we're watching all
Yeah.
the runners. You guys are running down the road, and then you have another, you're at mile 18, you have to go down and then come back around to the finish line. And so Joshua, you were at the finish line, right? When Aaron came in?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're at the finish line. We seen him go through like 100 meters away from the finish line, and it's like, all right, let's just see him. Like, let's see we're just waiting for walking over to go see him. And as we're walking to go see him, he calls me on FaceTime, and he's just basically screaming at this on FaceTime. He's like, bro, I was cramping up the entire time. They had Theragun, pickle juice, everything that he kind of just like, you can see all the salt on his face. And then we finally found him because his girlfriend had him like on this, Find My Friends, had his tracking his phone. So we finally find him, and this man's laid out on a massage table, just getting treatment done, just like he just went through a war, and he did.
Bro,
26.2. It was
yes,
crazy.
I'm saying, like I did. Like I've never, and I don't know. It's just like for my pace, how I was running, like it wasn't like I wasn't running at a like strenuous pace for myself at all. Like it was just more so I just started cramping. And
Yeah,
like it was just
hard.
it was just frustrating. Like it was mainly frustrating because I was like, man, like there would be times where I would stop and then I would start running back to my pace and then I would just cramp up again. Like that was frustrating, but it also was hilarious at the same time. Like it was, and the person I was running with, they used to be my training partner when I used to run. Right when I was running like semi-professionally after school, like this guy ran the 1500 and the 800. We were middle distance athletes like together. So like it was just like really funny to be running with him and just being like, dude, this is not like the 800, bro. Like this is just
Totally different animal.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I was
hear
like,
you, man.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I have to. I want to know this part because I did not. When we talked before, I didn't know you were doing this. So you said you were videotaping and like talking to people in the middle, like at the beginning of the race. Tell us about that. That's insane.
yeah. So like this actually goes back to like when I ran on the Aggies. This is team in San Luis Obispo. I used to do this thing every week on Fridays called Questions on the Run. And I used to just like film myself as like, yo, like Red Vines or Twizzlers and like put the poll on stories. So like I recently started doing that again in Santa Barbara with some people I run with on Fridays, like a run club. So I was like, oh, like that would be so cool. Like if I just did this during the marathon and while I'm breaking like 3 hours, just running and talking to people. And I knew I was gonna run into a ton of people that I just knew from my career in general, which like made it was just like another layer of just like what made it fun. And like in the marathon, so many people are just out there to have a good time. Like I really felt like I was at a music festival almost in a way or something. Like, you're just on your feet for a really long time. It's gonna be a long way to go. So you're not really like thinking about, how long you have left. But at the same time, you're trying to like make sure you're drinking enough water, you're eating enough food. And that's like that really feels like when you go to like a musical festival, like it's like it might be a 3-day music festival. You don't want to think about the end though. You're just trying to have as much fun as possible. You're on your feet all day. You're trying to make sure you're eating enough food, drinking enough water. And that's what I felt like I was doing during the race. I
Yeah.
was trying to eat as much as I could, take all my goos, get electrolytes, so I didn't like, get too messed up. And I got super messed up still, but I don't know if I would have finished if I wasn't doing that stuff. I may have like even my friend was like, bro, he's like, I low key didn't know if you were gonna finish. You looked pretty bad out there. But I was like, nah. I would have walked.
Right, you're gonna make it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting like Coachella, you know, trying to hang through,
Running Man.
yeah, make it through Coachella vibes, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've only been to one music festival. It was Outside Lands in San Francisco, and I went like years ago. And I just remember like the first day we stayed out till like 5 a.m. And I was like, oh my God, like how? Like what are we going to do? We're done. Like, how are we gonna make it through the next 2 days? And I remember like the third day, like I was walking around and I was like, bro, I feel like I'm injured. Like my foot was hurting. Like I was like, how do people like, because there's people that really go to like festivals like all the time and stuff. I'm like, how do people do this? This is crazy. But I was like,
Maybe there's training for it the same way you need to train for a marathon, right? Because if
Some
you're
type
like,
of
hey, I'm used to a concert,
yeah,
that's an 800 or a 1600, right? 5,000 or something like that, and then you got to bump all the way up to a 3-day music festival on your feet. That's a marathon, right? Maybe there's some training. I don't know.
for
But you know
real.
what? That is true. Like we were talking about this. So we obviously all of us run, right? So we know what it's like to run and train and whatever. But I don't know if you guys feel this way. Like when I go to Disneyland and I'm standing the whole day in the lines, like my body is like kind of wrecked at the end of the day. It's like I could run and run for hours, but like the standing,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
No,
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 yeah.
no, no. I get you for sure. For
That's
sure.
intense because also if you're in Disneyland, depending what time of the year, or at Universal Studios, it's hot. It's hot
Yeah.
outside. Like you need to be drinking water. You need to be fueling yourself. You may start you're gonna have to get in the misters for a second that they have out there. I remember going to Universal Studios like when we were kids and just embracing all the mist as it's like 95 degrees out there in like the LA heat. And at the end of the day, you're just exhausted, or just being at the beach all day as well, and can really exhaust you.
Oh, for sure.
Completely. So now, have you signed up for your next marathon?
No, not yet. But literally, right? So I work, yeah. So I work at Hoka. I was telling y'all. So like, as soon as I got back, people are hitting me up. They're like, "All right, you ready? I'm gonna sign you up, for Kodiak 50K and Big Bear." And I was like,
No,
"Hey, you trying to set me up now?"
Yeah, slow
I-
down,
bro.
pump the brakes.
It's a whole nother. That's altitude. That's hills. I'm like, wait, hold on. Let me think about this a little more. But I
And
do
what
want
about,
another one.
well, also too, Joshua, like you being
Hey,
out there supporting Aaron, like, do you have the bug now, or are you like, I'm good, or do you want to run a marathon?
Now, every single time you see a marathon, you want to run a marathon. Honestly, it's like monkey see, monkey do. It's just so inspiring. And once you go out there and do it, when will I do it? I don't know. You feel me? I don't know. I don't know. I think I gotta do it soon because, like Aaron, like I want to be able to break 3 hours, and the longer I wait, the harder it's gonna be to train up for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I'm gonna have to do one within the next 2 years. I'm definitely maybe within the next year. I'm definitely gonna do a marathon, but I gotta get back consistent with my running. But I have been good. I've been good for the past. I haven't been running on the weekends, but for the past every single day for the past weekdays, I've been running. So like that's good. That's a start, and just
yeah.
even just like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. I gotta low key fix up my hips though. Like I think I'm like a half inch off for like my hips are off right now. So I low key need to go to the chiropractor, but marathon coming soon at some point.
Okay.
Yes, marathon via lots of PT.
Yeah, we're gonna need that for
Exercises.
Get the
sure. We're gonna need a
PT.
lot of Tiger Balm, some icy hot, put on my back right before that. Like I may be stinking a little bit, but we'll get across the line. That's for sure.
we'll be
That's
good.
it.
Okay, so now are you both now? I know Aaron, you're in Santa Barbara. Joshua, you're back from New York City. Where are you in LA?
I'm not in LA. I'm in the Inland Empire, so I'm in Eastvale or like right down. A lot of people don't know Eastvale, so Corona area,
Okay.
Riverside. That's where I
Okay,
am, just living with my parents right now. Yeah.
cool. What do you think of New York? And do you want to go back anytime soon?
No, I'm good. New York is cool. Like New York is really cool. Just being there for that time, especially working at the Armory during that time too, was like that was an amazing experience. Being able to like work Milrose, work Dr. Sander, and like do all of these meets, especially the Milrose games that I've seen on TV since I was a little kid. Like, and someone that definitely grew up like loving the sport. So like being in that environment and being in New York definitely something that I like doing, but I definitely I love California more by far. But I'm definitely open to like anything that really comes next, and like wherever if I have to travel and move, I'm open to that. But no matter what, I'm always gonna try and get back to California. That's just like it's just the place to be, especially Southern California. So so yeah, but New York, it was a great experience, just really like experience being away from home and like being so far away from home that you can't drive back or you can't easily like Uber or take a train. Like it's over 2,000 miles away. It's pretty hard to do that. So like being isolated in that way, I think I really helped me grow up like a lot. So it was a good 3 months.
Okay.
So you were there. You said you were working at the
Yeah.
Armory. You were working at like the Milrose Games. Tell everybody listening a little bit about your exact job and what you were doing exactly.
Yeah, so for 3 months, I was basically the it would be easier just to say I was like the face of the Armory, the Nike Track and Field Center in the Armory. So if you guys don't know, the Armory, I'm pretty sure it's the oldest indoor track facility in the country, possibly the world. It opened up its gates like in 1903, 1908. Where it's at now has been renovated for the past 30 years, and it's been hosting the Milrose Games since like 1911 or something like that. And yeah, it's historic. It's historic in New York. It's in Washington Heights of that part, and my job was to be sort of the face. So I was interviewing a whole bunch of high school kids, pros, collegiates, throughout the entire 3 month indoor season, and just doing like interviews and just interacting on social media in a lot of ways and like being front facing on the camera. But I was doing a lot of the editing too. Like during my time there, I did I did a lot of editing and starred in like 48 Instagram reels that I made while I was out there in the 3 months. So like I think it's 2 reels like a week, and then that doesn't include just like other posts that I was doing out there as well. So it was busy. It was busy to say the least, of just like the indoor track and field season, and like the Armory was kind of like the heartbeat of that, especially in the US, of just what happened. And we're able to do like a lot of we're able to do a lot of cool stuff during that time that I think sort of proud of. So I was the digital social media creator during that time at the Armory. It was cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Now, how much running were you able to get in? Did you make that a priority, or did they just run you ragged so you can even run for yourself?
No, they ran us ragged. They ran us ragged. I'm not, but I think I would have ran more. Like if I were to do it again, I would run more. Cause now, like, that was my first time really experiencing like winter too, and like really like living somewhere that's that cold, like waking up in the morning being 15 degrees, and like you go to sleep and it's like 35. Like that's not okay. Like really, it's really not. Like the worst part about it is all like, see, like in Southern California, like you'll wake up and like it's kind of cold. Like I'm gonna put on a jacket and it's gonna be like 65. I know a lot of people aren't gonna do that, but like I'm gonna put on a jacket when it's 65 degrees outside in the morning. Like I'm gonna do that. But then the great thing is that by 12 p.m., like it's 78, it's 80 degrees sometimes, and like I'm chilling. The thing about New York is all like, or just any other place, it's just cold the entire day. Like it's depressing. It really is. Like I'm just wearing black. I'm only wearing my big jacket and everything. So it was just like I was not motivated to. I think I only ran like 4 times. I did race on the indoor track though. That was my first time racing on an indoor bank track. I ran an 800. I ran like 210. The time doesn't
Okay.
matter. It was all about the experience. I didn't even have spikes. It was really fun. So if I were to go back, I definitely would run more, because being there for sure, I realized that like New York is a running like city. There's a lot of people that run there, a lot of people that love not just like track and field, but just love running and exercising and being on the move. So I would definitely run there if I were to go back.
All right, New York. At least we know Southern California has some love for you as it comes to running. The winter, maybe not so much, but
Well, one of the things that I love about New York City is running in Central Park. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things to do when I go.
It took me a long time to actually run in Central Park. So, because we ran there before when me and Aaron have been for the New York City Marathon, or just even the Nike Indoor Nationals, we've been there before. But it took me a good minute to run there. But I finally did, like, I think in my last month, I ran there about like, my last 3 runs were in New York, in New York or Central Park. And I ran with Chris Chavez like a couple times. And yeah, it was nice just being able, it's like, because this is the thing too, I'll say this. So one thing I started realizing about New York is that like it really is the concrete jungle. Like when you just drive down the street here, like in Eastvale or even LA, or if you get onto the freeway, you see like mountains, or you see a lot of trees, and like there's a lot of green that you see, even though like it could be like, remember, we're in a big drought. There's still like a good amount of green. In New York, like it's really just concrete. It's really just streets. But
Building.
then once you go into Central Park, there's so much green. It's a breath of fresh air that you feel like you're in a different place for a second. So like, yeah, Central
I
Park.
agree with you. Yeah, it's beautiful. I know. It's like you go exactly what you said. You go into the park and you feel like, am I really now still in New York City? It's just really stunning. All right, I'm popcorning back to Aaron because we didn't find out what was your final time for your very first marathon.
3:10.
What? That is really impressive.
Yeah, that's still a good
3:10
time.
is no joke for your first marathon, and the LA Marathon is a hard course.
Yeah, that's a hard course, and you're stopping for pickle juice and Theragun treatment, and you still pull off a 3:10.
You were definitely in sub 3 hour shape.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I'm going to run again, because I was like, man, I felt so good. Like I promised, like I was not even tired. Like I felt good. Like, but my body said no. It said, nah, sit down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I gotta figure it. I think maybe the missing element. Well, there definitely was just like obviously like stuff I could have done in my training. Like I had to take some breaks and stuff. But regardless, I think I was about to break three. I think the missing thing nutritionally maybe was salt tabs because I had like 5 goos, and then I was just like, and I was just checking in on myself every mile. Like I was getting just switching off from water to electrolytes. So maybe I could have drank a little bit more, but I think the problem was like my body wasn't holding it. So I was like, maybe it was like if I would have just took some salt tabs like earlier in the race, maybe I would have still cramped up, but maybe a little bit later. Because I started cramping pretty early when it was only a calf cramp, but it was just past halfway where I first felt that, and I had to stop and just like stretch it. But once it got to the point where it was like in my hamstrings and quads, like yeah, 310 is pretty good for.
Absolutely.
I was stopping a lot, but then like my friend was the one cause I would stop and then I would just start running, and there'd be some times where I get like a good mile in and I'll be like drop like he's like, dang, we're going like 6:30s again. And I'm like, all right, we cool. And then I'll get messed up and he's like, dude, you gotta try running slower, like or this is gonna keep happening. And I was like, all right, like
What
you
did
know.
you feel like was the hardest part of the course?
Mm, I feel like almost some of the hardest parts are actually in the beginning. Like
Hmm.
there's like a lot of hills early on in the race when you're just like kind of warming up your legs, and then like it is kind of, I guess it's like kind of, I think the downhill, I feel like it's a part of why I got cramps too, like just muscularly, like there's a lot of like downhill. I don't know, I'm guessing between like mile like 15 and like 20ish, and I feel like maybe that beat up my legs a lot. But I actually, because I got that first initial cramp in my calves, and then I honestly, when I was like, okay, let me just like not think about it and it'll go away. Like I started to feel like really good, and like yeah, there's like slight downhill, so you're able to just kind of get going. So yeah, I feel like the beginning and then just like the end, how you have to go down and then turn around and it's kind of up. It's just like like you just want to be done, Especially if like a lot of people are going through it at that point in the race. A lot of people are on and off, like getting cramps and stuff, and it's just like you're just fighting your body from breaking down, and you're just like, man, like you get to a certain point where it's like, man, I just really want this to be over with. Like,
Yes.
it's so
As we
fun.
all feel. And you know what's interesting about the LA Marathon too is like no matter, like March is kind of like could be a hit or miss, but it's always hot.
Yeah,
It's always
it was.
hot in March for whatever reason on that day. It's just, how did the weather? I mean, did it affect you? Were you kind of like, it's hot today?
Not too much. I really wasn't too concerned about it, but again, I think in the long run, I wasn't really like trying to like think about anything. And I think in the long run, it affected my body because my body just shut down on me. Like it literally just shut down. And maybe it's also like I need to probably do more long runs in my training, like a little bit more like longer, harder efforts as well. And then I think my body too has just never been that far before. So
Yeah.
like
What was the longest long run that you did?
it's like 17, like
Okay.
2 weeks ahead. So like maybe I just needed a couple more of those. Maybe I needed like a 20 miler, 20
Yeah.
miler in there where like some part of it is like tempoing or something, so I could like really just put my body through like that shock, But I think I mean of course you don't want to cramp up in a marathon, but like if I could have just cramped up like that with 2 miles to go,
Right.
not with like 6, like if I could just hold it off a little bit longer. um I definitely think I'll get under the time. I just got to get my body
Oh,
straight.
Oh, there's
yeah, you're
so
right there.
much. I know.
Yeah.
And it's like
Make the tweaks.
pick another course that's, not as hilly with
Yeah.
cooler weather. you'll get like a 20 miler, a couple 20 milers under your belt. Like you're good. You're so good.
Yeah.
It's
I
like right
honestly,
there.
yeah, my max mileage was like 40 miles. So like
That's so
Oh,
impressive.
okay.
I didn't really like, yeah, no, there's a lot I could have done. So we'll see. I definitely like, it was good. Uh it was just cool to be back into a race. Like I love racing. Made me like think back. I remember like the night before LA, like I was just having, I'm a type of person, I don't know if y'all like this, but I have dreams about running. Like so I have
Okay.
like night before, like I'm having like a bunch of dreams about, or even 2 nights before, like I'm having dreams about like racing and stuff like that. And it just like felt good to like feel that again. And it's just like my body just like kind of, or my mind just kind of snaps back into, when I was running in college and stuff like that, of just like, like having like the feelings or whatever. It's like it's just crazy. You do something for so long that, and your body, you might step away from a long time, but your body still like knows what you're preparing it for somehow, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned that afterwards, all your coworkers are ready to sign you up for the next ultra, right?
yeah,
Just skip another marathon. They're ready for a 50K and beyond. Did they have a lot of advice for you going into it, and how did you take it or not take it?
I mean, main thing I got from everyone was about like, yeah, nutrition. I definitely didn't practice nutrition like enough. I was just like, I'm just gonna figure it out. I'm gonna eat these goos on the day. And honestly, I was surprised. I'm really happy. I'm happy I got cramps and not stomach problems or bathroom problems. Especially for
Mhm.
how much I ate. I was
No.
like, wow. It didn't, I mean, I guess I'm gonna say it helps because like I finished, but it didn't help as much as I thought. So I needed it to experiment more with that. Um, Also I had people that were just like run hills, and I don't know. Do you know? I'm blanking on the run out here, Natalie. You might know it. It's called. Well, there's a lot of. I don't know if you ever ran around Hope Ranch. There's a lot of hills over there, and
Oh,
then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is it Farrell? Farrell? It's in Goleta. I don't know, but I did some runs. I did some runs there. I think I just need to do a little bit more of
There's
everything.
so many great runs in Santa Barbara to do. But I also wanna touch upon for both of you guys, for
Mhm.
people listening, like your brothers, you both are runners. I mean, Joshua, you just ran a 2:10 800 with like just on
Regular
a
speed.
whim. So give us a quick snapshot, like what did you guys run in high school? Kind of what were your events, and just like a little bit of an overview of you getting into the sport.
Yeah, so I think it really starts back to our dad, who he was, I guess you could say he was a professional boxer for a little bit, for a couple years, and then he stopped, married our mom, he went to the Navy, and had us, our oldest brother, Caleb, he got him into running. So he didn't want us to box, but during his time in boxing, you got to run a lot. You got to do a lot of
Mhm.
conditioning. And he wanted us to go into track and field. And he knew the opportunities that can come from running and being able to get a scholarship. And like we really kind of expanded on even more of those opportunities down the road. And so Caleb started running, I think, around like 8 or 10 years old, maybe, Aaron? Or was he even older than that? Because
Caleb started running probably a little bit older than that.
Okay, but then Aaron started running around like 10, because you started running around like 10, and then that's where really we started doing club track. All four of us. We have another brother, David, who's just above me, and then right under Aaron, and we did club track through the thing. Like I started running when I was 5 years old, had my first race when I was about 6, and we always were on the more of the distance side. Caleb was more of a 4.8 guy. Aaron was 15.8, but he was good in cross country and could run a little bit up, like a 5,000 as well. I was about 4.8, then would run 15.8, and then our brother David, he played football, but he did shot put and disc in high school and in college. So all four of us, we went to Eleanor Roosevelt High School here in Eastvale, and then Caleb went to NAU, Aaron went to APU, Azusa Pacific University, and me and David both went to Cal State Fullerton. But at first, I went to like 3 different schools, so we don't got to get into that. But I got my degree at Cal State Fullerton. So yeah, running has really just surrounded us like our entire life, from going to club meets and being there from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at times, going to Junior Olympics and going to, for me, first going to like Caleb and Aaron's high school meets, and then for them to come to my high school meets, and then me going to their college meets, and them going to my college meets. So like it's fully kind of like it's always been a thing for us. We've always been a running family where people know that like the Pots, like they do track, and that's how it kind of really was. And then really the media side started when I was in high school at Eleanor Roosevelt. Our team was really good in cross country, like 2016, 2017, and 2018. Like we're really getting to that spot of being nationally ranked. And my senior year, we were able to go to NXN. Like we came into the cross country season like ranked number 5, and it was always the thought for us like we should start a YouTube channel, but like no one did. And so I got injured at the end of the season. I tore my meniscus, and I was like, I have nothing to do. Like I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna start the YouTube channel, and that kind of like got me the bug of just like doing media and kind of diving more into track and field and just running media side of things. And like we built like a little cult following in like CIF Southern section. And even I was in the Armory, and people would still be like, hey, Rosie Project. Like people would still shout that out to me, which is like it's really cool to see like that almost 6 years later, which is amazing. But that kind of just kept on going. And as I went to college at Cal State Northridge, Aaron was kind of always the guy I would go to and be like, does this look good? Does that look good? And then he was like, bro, we should start a podcast. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, we should call Two Black Runners. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then we started a podcast in 2019, and then COVID happened 2020. It was kind of just a perfect time of like, we can just grind and make this happen. And now we're here now, like 4 years later. So yeah, running's always been the thing.
So now around Eastville, would people see one of you and like, do I?
Yes.
Because that's what I get around the neighborhood. People see me and they're like, hey, do you? I was like, yeah, that's my wife. Or they're like, do you have a? I'm like, yeah, that's my son. Like, and they know, So I'm like, did you have that same experience around town, each of you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like that happens even now. If you see a black man running in the middle of the street, it's one of us. It's one of us, most likely.
You know who it is. Like when I go back home and I see some people, they're like, dang, you still out here running. Or when Joshua, we're going into the LA Marathon, and like we made a post where like, oh, is Aaron like underestimating the marathon? Because I was like, I'm gonna be okay. Like I've been running my whole life. And I was like, man, I got some people that really mess with me. Like people were coming out the woodwork, like that people that just followed me on Instagram. They may have, I don't know, they may have been listening to the podcast. I don't know, but I'm talking about like friends from like high school, people from like college that people haven't like, I'm saying like, I'm cool with them, but I haven't talked to them in years. You know what I'm saying? And they're like commenting, like one of them commented like, you know what? I've never seen you like not running. Like you're gonna be good. Like my college like roommate be like being like, yeah, like nah, Aaron's a beast. Like just like I was like, dang, I didn't even know that y'all were still supporting me like that. So it's definitely a reputation, and then the fact that we're all brothers is always like when I went into school. From the time I was like, ever since I was in school, like my older brother was the fastest kid in school. So whenever I would come into the school, it's like I gotta be the fastest, like, or you're just known as like, oh, that's Caleb's little brother, and Caleb's fast, so let's see what he about to do. You know what I mean? So it was just like, yeah, we have that reputation of, yeah, these are the black kids that just be doing running stuff.
Just be running
and I
forever.
love that you're all like middle distance runners, and it's not always just, oh, must be the 100, 200 guys, right? But no, we're the 4, 8, and maybe 5,000 guys, you know?
Yeah, and I was curious that what you were saying, Joshua, about NXN. I wanted to go back to that. Did you guys go to NXN in high school?
Yeah, so my team went up. They ended up going to NXN because they got second. They got second in state that year, and I was like, we almost won, bro. That was a crazy time because that's when Great Oak was like on top of the world and everything. And I remember they crossed the line, and they crossed the line. I think we had 4 guys in, and like we were like 13 points up on Great Oak, and then yeah, like their 5 went in, and then we lost. But it was, yeah, they went to NXN. They didn't do as well at NXN, but be able just like to represent like Eastvale at NXN was incredible. And I remember I wasn't able to go because I was injured, but just to be like a part of that team, and like it was special for me too, because like I was the captain of the team from like sophomore year to senior year. All those guys, like we ran club track together from I think like to 6th grade to senior year of high school. Like we all knew each other, like 6 of us. So it was really like a real special time. And the same thing how Aaron was saying, like I didn't just have the older brother is the fastest person in school. I had 3 older brothers. I had Caleb, Aaron, and David. Yeah, they used to be the fastest or strongest at this school. Like, what are you going to do? So it was definitely going in just knowing, all right, we gotta live up to this expectation somehow. And I think I left it out with a bang a little bit. NXN. That's sort of a cool thing.
Yeah,
I wasn't
no,
a part of
that's
the
why I
team.
was like,
I
that's
was
a
injured, but
big deal.
I was captain. I was captain.
Yeah. What were your cross country times?
Oh, I
What was
wasn't
your
too good.
best time?
I think I ran 15:39 on the Riverside course. That was like my best time. But then
Okay.
yeah, and I ran
Nice.
1:59 and 4:29. But Aaron was nice in high school.
Was it now for that Riverside course? Is that a 5K or a 3-mile course?
That's just a 3 mile. That's a
Okay.
3 mile. Yeah.
I know it varies a lot in cross country in high school. You can sometimes there are 5Ks, but a lot of times it's a 3-mile course. So I was just curious.
But
Aaron, what were your times like?
Yeah, so for me, in high school, like my senior year, I ended up making it to the state meet. We were the first, me and my friend, shout out to my friend Nick Wolf, my training partner. We were like the first 2 to ever make it to state out of Roosevelt, but we made it in the mile. So I ended up running 4:12 or 4:13 in the mile my senior year. And then I ran 1:54 in the 800. Um, Cross country, we always had like that's what was cool about Joshua's team, because we always had the history of not having a complete team for cross country. So like my senior year, we had 2 guys, like me and Nick, both made it to the state final in the mile. But earlier that year in cross country, we couldn't make it to state. And we were just like, man, like it's crazy. But that was a super cool year. And that kind of like that was we and Josh were talking about this the other day. It's like we always had pretty good teams, but like that year, I feel like really was like a big like shift in the culture of like Roosevelt. That cross country season was going to that cross country season. Like me and Nick were both seniors, and we knew that this was like gonna be our moment to like really like be the fastest kids in our league. And we had never beat like Corona High School. That was like our rivals. We never beat them in cross country, but me and Nick beat them all in track that previous year. And I wasn't the best in cross country either, but I knew that like I was just better, like more talented than like some of those kids. So like yeah, in cross country, like that year, me and Nick consistently got first and second, and then like just had teammates that stepped it up. So we finally had beaten them. And then going into that track season, we were both always just like, bro, like we gotta make it to state. Like we're going to state. And like state was always on the same time as like grad night, which used to be at Disneyland.
Oh
So we
yeah.
just like we were both like, yo, like, we're not gonna go to grad night this year. Like, don't even think about it. Like, we're going to state.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool year. To get there, like I didn't really run good either. I had to give everything I had I remember I was like PRing every race to like get there. And then that following year, like the team just continued to get better. Like one of the guys on our team, like Kyle, he
Yeah.
made the state he made state the next year in cross country. And then after that, it just became regular. Like, like it's expected for someone on the team to go to state, or we should be making it to state. Like as a team, we just had two guys in the state final last year. And then we knew like in the pipeline that Joshua and his friends were we were swaying like people to start coming to like Roosevelt because they were just seeing the results. So that time when the Rosie Project was popping off, that was like when I was like part of it was in college and then part of it was like after, I think. But that
Yeah.
was cool. That was just cool to like to see it, because it's fun when you have. I love watching high school cross country. It's fun to go watch like y'all know y'all got kids. It's fun to go watch your brothers and they're nice and go back and like it's tight. It's tight.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to like stay involved.
Everything
Absolutely.
that you guys are talking about right
Like
now, we are literally in the middle of it right
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
with our kid. So it's really fun. I like get so on the edge of my seat listening to all this because like we are in it. It's so exciting. Now, which of your brothers went to NAU? Who went there?
That was our oldest brother, Caleb.
Okay.
So yeah, Caleb was like the prototype. Like, and when we did club track, he was going to the Junior Olympics like every year. Like he was like walking around like people knew who he was and stuff like that. He was
That's cool.
like pretty good at a very like young age, and like he carried that into high school. But he had some injuries, but like in high school he also ran 154. Like, and another thing about Roosevelt High School is it's a pretty new school. The first graduating class was in 2009, and then
Oh,
Caleb graduated
wow.
in 2010. So like that's what I'm saying. Like, and I graduated in 2012. So it's like
Okay.
we kind of like, and this is where I give big credit to both my dad and my mom, because we came through the club track, cycle. So we understand when you come through in the club track, like every parent there is like there with purpose. Like, hey, this is so my kids can have a chance at getting a better education. So like,
Yeah.
of course there's drama and politics, but like most of that ain't playing. They ain't playing games. So like when my parents came onto Roosevelt, we had a young coach, but like my mom and dad, all 4 years I was in college, were in the booster club. And my dad was someone that would be like in the coach's ear a little bit, but I definitely think like the energy that they brought to the
Yeah.
team really helps like elevate the program, because they're like, yo, this is how they seen how it's supposed to be done, and like, yo, this is how it's supposed to go. These are the meets that you're supposed to. And then on top of that, you have like Caleb coming in, who's been to like the Junior Olympics like multiple times. So he's coming in with expectations of like, he's doing this, he's running with purpose. Like, hey, we're trying to, because my parents seen how other kids get scholarships and stuff like that. So they're bringing that mentality to like 14-year-old. Like I came into school my freshman year, like my brother was already on the team. He's like, yo, my bro's coming onto the team next year and he's going to take your varsity spot. Like he's going to and I'm like, yeah, like I'm coming onto like other freshmen are just there having for fun. And like, I'm there, like I'm trying to run with the top guys. Like I'm serious, because I'm like thinking in my head, like I'm not gonna earn my scholarship, my freshman year. Of course, I didn't think like that, but I knew there was a process that like I was going through, and like slowly but surely, like that's what I'm saying, me and Nick making it to state, slowly people start seeing, okay, like this is the process, especially like at a new school. So I look back at it, and I do feel like our whole entire, not even just I gotta include my mom, because she was on the booster club and she knows, she runs now too. But like we helped like really build that program. So by the time Joshua came into school, I'm getting to see the fruits of like the labor of
Mm-hmm.
all of my brothers that like and my parents that went through that. So I'm not just rooting for Joshua, I'm rooting for his boys. I'm rooting for Raymond. Like I'm hyped for because I've known them since they were little kids too.
That's
So like
awesome.
I'm super hyped to see them and then they're going to school and I'm like, yes, this is what we were trying to produce from the day
That's
we stepped
right.
foot on the campus.
That's
I
a lot of fun
love
to
that.
be able to, yeah, like you said, reap and enjoy some of that fruit through your siblings and your younger sibling, and then you know, all of his friends, and seeing that and what the school's still doing. Hopefully, you know,
Yeah.
that's
No.
definitely cool.
So we need to talk about the podcast a little bit. Two Black Runners. You've had it since 2019. And so it's been going, 5 years almost, you guys. How are you feeling about it? And what do you love most about having your own podcast?
I think there's two things that I love the most about it. I think the most thing I love about it is that like there's no barrier of entry just for any of this. Like you could just start, and that's really the first step. Like just starting and getting to the starting line is like that's already accomplishment in itself, but it's also like it's not something that's super hard to do. Like once you break over that anxiety or fear of what other people are going to think, like once you break through that, you can really start moving. But the fact that there's no barrier of entry, like no one's really controlling what we want to do or what we want to produce and like anything like that. So that's what I really love, that like you can really just go with it. It's just starting, get to the start line, and then run this marathon, whatever it is, and just have fun with it. And the other thing I love most about it, and I think this is what I really learned from being in New York, because we do the podcast, but we also try to do a lot of stuff on YouTube with Running Report. And I wasn't able to do that when I was in New York because the job was just so much going on and like trying to focus and make sure that indoor season is special. But like I have time to do an hour podcast with my brother once a week, every single Monday. Like I can fit that into my schedule. And I think that's what I really learned, because I had a great relationship with the two girls that I worked with at the Armory, who I knew one of them beforehand, and was able, like we were just able to really like meld together like really well early on. And like we had a lot of success from doing that, and it really made me realize that like, man, the reason me and Aaron have been able to work so well together is that like we do have a tight relationship. Like this is my brother, and like it's special that like every single week like I can sit down and just talk to him like about anything, about anything. Like a lot of times we talk about track news, or we'll have someone on that's a pro athlete, or we'll bring just someone that's a part of running culture, that they're into, if they're a part of like shoes or the industry from like food or whatever it may be. But generally like it's a conversation with my brother and trying to produce something that's great, trying to continue to make fruit and just like impact people and tell creative stories, and like really just like scratching that creative bug that I guess we've always kind of had, and really like putting that on the display. So being able just to like build more on my relationship with Aaron, I think that has to be the best part. And then also no barriers to this.
Love it.
I
Yeah.
love that the two of you are doing this together and really displaying your love for the sport and sharing it really with the world and talking to people between, I love when you guys are talking about track and field news and like what's going on. You guys are so knowledgeable about the sport. You love it. You've done it. You're doing it. And then having guests on as well. So everyone go check out Two Black Runners podcast. We'll definitely put that in the show notes. I love it. All right. Well, you guys, from our podcast, we like to talk about the travel part. Now, this is going to be tricky because we've got Santa Barbara and the Inland Empire. So we got to think about how we should do this. Maybe we like go back and forth from like,
or do we give the IE some love? I don't know.
IE some love.
The Inland Empire some love.
Yeah. Do we bounce back and forth?
We can do a rapid fire
Yes.
back and forth. You guys up for that?
I mean, yeah, we could do that. I feel like I'm still adjusting to the Santa Barbara life. I'm a little bit more suited, but we could do back and forth. Let's do back and forth. But
Okay,
I'm always
let's see how it goes.
All right.
Okay, favorite place to run in Santa Barbara first. Go.
Elwood. It's just
Ooh, I haven't done that in so long. I almost forgot about that.
I'm so blessed. It's basically my back door. I can walk to the bluffs right now. That's where I do the majority of my runs. And I think it's the best place to run in Santa Barbara. Easy.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, Joshua, what about Inland Empire where you live? Where's the best place to run?
I'm gonna say best place for me, and then also just Inland Empire as a whole. So I'll say the best place for me, Eastville Community Park. Just go on the trail. It's about 2 miles from my house, and it's a park that came in because Eastville is a new city. We officially became a city in 2010, and like Eastville Community Park, I think was built like it was when I was in high school, so like 2017, 2016. Changed like the entire landscape of this town because now we got soccer games going on here, and they built Silver Lakes where Woodbridge used to be. So like a lot of people just go to that place now, but Silver Lakes, there's a trail and it goes into Norco, Horsetown, USA, and that's just all like all dirt because they're just horses going around. And then probably just generally in the IE, it has to be Big Bear. Big Bear is a part of IE. So
Okay.
like being up in Big Bear is there's so many really running around the lake because I was just there this past summer. Running around the lake is pretty beautiful and Big Bear. Yeah.
I forgot about that. You
Yeah.
kind of think of it almost as a separate, place, but it's all
It's all together.
together.
The IE is huge.
Yes,
It is.
it
It is.
is. It
It
is
is.
beautiful there.
Yeah. Okay. So now, where are we eating?
Yeah, best place to dine out in Santa Barbara.
I just went to this spot for my girlfriend's birthday called Lokita. That's I'm gonna just highlight that. But it was like a Spanish restaurant and it had like a ton of different like uh tapas and stuff. Um what did we get? I can't even remember the stuff we got. It was just like a bunch of just like snacks and like shareables, and I feel like Santa Barbara has a lot of places with really good like, you know, what is the word? Like scenery and like vibes and stuff like that. But the food was pretty good here too.
So Lokita, is that on State Street near in
Yeah.
Goleta? Where is it?
Yes, it's on like lower state,
Okay.
like walking distance from the beach.
Yeah.
I love it down there. All
All
right,
right.
IE, favorite place to eat.
Favorite place? If you're in Eastville, I would say Eastern Brew Cafe is probably the best place in Eastville. It's like a little it's only open I think till like 3 p.m., but great brunch spot. There's not really it's like home. It's like it tastes like home basically. And then in the IE, probably a place that a lot of people don't know about, but I really like this place because me and my girlfriend go to it and I have great tacos. Ollie's Tacos in the Montclair Place is like amazing. Honestly, it's really I don't know why they're just in a mall. Like it doesn't make sense to me why they're just in Montclair Place. But like that place, Ollie Tacos, is crazy. The talk I really just get tacos there. I don't really get burritos, but the tacos that they have there is fire. Aaron, you need to go try that place too, to be honest, bro.
I know you told me about that last
Yeah,
time.
yeah. That place is crazy.
Okay.
Okay, I have a random question. How far are you from Cal Baptist University?
Like, how far would it take me? Like 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we had thought about coming out to visit that university. And so now we'll have to come and see you, go on a
Yeah.
run and go get tacos. Okay.
That food court at Cal Baptist, I've never been. My parents have been. It's supposed to be really good. The food court in Cal Baptist is like people just go there. My parents just went there to eat. Like,
Oh, wow.
that's how good it is. Yeah.
That must
Okay.
be good just to go to a college campus for the food. For nothing
Yeah.
else, right?
That's what I'm saying.
That's saying
That's what I'm
something.
saying.
Okay. Aaron, back to Santa Barbara. Okay. Favorite race?
Favorite race? I would just say the Santa Barbara half. I did
That's
that.
a
I
good
did that this
one.
past year. It's a beautiful. You just run. Dang, what is that? You start on State and then you turn right on like just like the main street that faces the beach. So you're kind of just running along the beach, like out, back, and then you come back up and you finish on State Street. It's getting bigger. Y'all should come out for that one next year. It's like in November, but
Yes, I've
it's
been wanting to come, and November is such a good time of year to
Yeah.
visit. It's beautiful.
hmm
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then we'll go to Lokita and we'll hang
Yeah,
out with you and
I
your
honestly think it'd be a
girlfriend.
good time. If you ran that race and then you went to Lokita for like brunchish type, it would probably that'd be a good time.
That would be
Love it.
fire. Okay, we're doing that.
All right, Joshua, what's your race of choice?
I'm gonna say a high school course. Honestly, I'm gonna say Inland Empire Challenge when it was back at Glen Helen Regional Park up in San Bernardino, kind of towards the direction of Big Bear 2. They do like festivals at that park as well, and there's just a lot of greenery. But really, it just holds a special place. When I was a freshman there, me and my guys that went on to go to NXN, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the freshman race. One of the highlights of my high school career, coming across and like I was like, man, get the brooms out, get the brooms out. I was screaming that. That's how I was the hype man for everybody. So I think Glen Helen Park is definitely one of my favorite races to do, and just it's a really nice area, just the whole entire park, I would say.
Okay.
Nice. That's
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say back to I love that, by the way. Back to Santa Barbara. We have to have a place to stay. There's so many
Yes.
hotels. Do you have a favorite?
Dude, I mean, I haven't stayed at many hotels out here. I mean, since I'm from out here, but have y'all ever been to the Bacara?
Oh no,
That's
but
special.
like
that's special, people.
it's like it takes me like I just start like seeing like flowers and just beauty. It's so beautiful there.
I went to the beach. I always would hear about it because like coworkers would come out here and they're like, "Oh, I booked my thing at the Bacara," and I was like, "Oh, okay, like whatever." And then I finally like went to because there's like a beach that you could like go to over there, and I was like, "That's the Bacara." I was like, "That's crazy."
Yeah.
I didn't realize like in the back hills of Goleta, there's some crazy like houses and stuff. Like I thought that was just in Santa Barbara, but Goleta has some money
Mhm.
out there too in some spots.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the Bacara is like for sure you feel like you're on vacation.
That's paradise.
It's
That's
insane.
paradise.
That's more than a vacation.
For everybody listening, if you have not been to Santa Barbara, if you've not been to the Bacara, like
Save your coins.
save your money and go there.
Yes.
For sure. You know what also, and I know this, I'm sorry, I got to say this though, but I do think if you don't want to spend like big bucks for the Bacara, like the Canary Hotel on State Street, I've stayed there and it's really nice. And
There's
they have a
other-
great balcony or
Another one,
rooftop.
I didn't stay there, but we had like work meetings there. I don't know if it's crazy, but it's the Miramonte, and it's like it faces the beach. More so it faces East Beach, but actually our auntie and uncle, Uncle Larry
Larry.
and John, they stayed there for their like anniversary recently, and I hung out with them.
Yeah.
Okay, Miramonte, nice altitude.
All right. I like it. Okay, Joshua, where are we going to stay when we come to the IE?
Yeah, mine is definitely not as good as any of that in Santa Barbara. Honestly, I think the best place you're gonna stay though is the Mission Inn in Riverside.
Okay.
The Mission Inn is beautiful. You know, Riverside is a hot spot for anything that you want to do, and really like downtown Riverside. The Riverside Food Lab's also a great place to eat if you're down here, and that's close. You're close to CBU, you're close to RCC, you're close to UCR, and yeah, Riverside's huge. So Mission Inn is great, especially during Christmas time. Mission Inn is
Okay.
like
Yes, that's
Yeah.
where I've heard of it because there was one year, I think it might have been this past Christmas. I was looking for fun stuff for us to do. And the Mission Inn came up, and I think you can go and see like beautiful lights and decorations. It looked incredible.
Yeah, the lights are incredible during Mission Inn, and I've been there a couple of times, so it's not as like crazy because it's way smaller than like it's not like super not the Mission Inn is huge and like walking through there is
Mhm.
really cool, but like there's stuff on the outside. It's not as big as I remember, but there's also like a Christmas tree festival too that I went one year. I think Aaron was with us, but I know
Yeah.
my mom was with me. We went to like there was like a whole bunch of different Christmas trees like decorated and stuff. Like the Mission Inn during Christmas is like the best time to definitely go.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
That's definitely good.
And then how about your independent running, or what's your favorite running store?
Yep, in Santa Barbara.
In Santa Barbara. Start there.
We don't really got that many. I know there's like Santa Barbara Running Company, but I've never been there, to be honest. But let's shout out Rabbit. Rabbit is in Santa Barbara. I do know Monica. I have actually done some modeling for them too
Oh,
on their
cool.
website. You may see me if you're ever shopping on there. Check it out.
Okay.
You know, you need a new shirt or something. I can't put it out, but you know, you might
Love
see me
it.
on the website.
I love that. That's right. Rabbit is there. Of course, Hoka is there.
Yeah, we don't really have. We have like a Decker showcase, so it's like all the brands in there. So yeah, we don't really have many running stores out here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Joshua, what about in the IE? Where to go to get shoes and gear?
Yeah, we got you beat on that one. We got Fleet Feet. We got a Fleet Feet in Rancho
Okay.
Cucamonga. And Caleb works there, our oldest brother, and he'll get you right. He'll get you right for show, for show. Dave is the owner. His kids run at Rancho Cucamonga High School currently right now too. So like they're definitely like inside of the running game and can really get anybody really right. They're super nice people, and like what they do is definitely needed. And I would say this store is right outside of the IE. It's right. Well, it used to be. It's in Walnut, so it used to be right next to Mount Sac. But Run Republic, they're really nice people as well, because that's an independent running store too. And what Joe Nakamura does there, I think, is really great. He does like exercise classes as well. Like it's a shoe store, then also has its own like exercise little studio in the back that they do in the morning. I think throughout the day too, with some weights, some yoga balls, dumbbells, and everything. So what Joe Nakamura is doing over there at Run Republic is something special. It's not the IE, but Mount Sac it's well San Gabriel, but it's close. It's close enough.
Yeah. We've definitely spent
Yeah.
our share of
Oh,
time at Mount
at Mount
Sac.
Sac.
Yeah.
Second home these last couple years.
Okay, so for Santa Barbara, and I know this can be, and I'm sure now in the Inland Empire as well, but in Santa Barbara, where would you say people have to go and visit or see when they come to Santa Barbara?
I should have said this for food places, but another cool spot I like is like Third Window Brewing. They have really good smash. They have really good smash burgers there. That's a pretty cool spot that I would recommend to take people. And then there's actually, I don't know, there's this one place called Rodeo Room, and they have like cocktails and they have really good wings. They have really good food. And that's like a place that like I would take if someone was to come and I was like, yo, where we're gonna go get some like, like bites, like, they have really good wings and like Brussels and like egg rolls, just a little like
Actually,
snacks and treats. And if you like cocktails, like they have that as well. And then from there, you start there, get some good food, and then you could walk over to the Funk Zone area, and that's where they got, I guess, more food. And like you could go wine tasting or walk to the beach and get ice cream. Just anywhere in that little vicinity, there's a lot to do.
That's awesome.
All right. So Joshua, give us the hidden gem for the IE.
shoot, like ever really like IE's huge. So like I really could just say Big Bear. Like go to Big Bear. Like that's low key the place to be. But give you something that's low key, that's honestly a hidden gem. And like this is pseudo IE as well. It's literally on the barrier. Like Claremont's part of LA County, but that's where my girlfriend's from too. I kind of tease her like y'all are not LA County. Like y'all are definitely y'all have the feel of the IE. Like come on. So I would say the California Botanical Garden is in Claremont. It's right next to Claremont High School. And I went there just recently for the first time. And that place is actually huge. It's beautiful. If you go there on like a really nice day, like that would be a great place that you should definitely go, is a California Botanical Garden. And then Claremont also has they have a really like cute little place called the Claremont Village that it's kind of like, it's a little bit older, but it has really great restaurants, like a really good boutique, like stores and everything. there's like a little movie theater, like an old movie theater there. And so I would say, and that's right next to Montclair Place too, if you want something that's a little bit newer. But the California Botanical Garden is actually in the IE. Essentially, it's basically, it's not LA County, bro. That's the IE. It's
I was
in.
gonna say, now you're
You
saying
just
that,
reclaim it, right?
Huh?
in
You
Santa
just
Barbara
reclaiming
County,
it.
Solving. That's not, now you're saying it's somewhere outside like that. You got to go to Solving, like it's like a little Dutch town. Have you ever
Oh
been there?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've been there
Yeah.
before.
Solving. Yep, absolutely. That's a good
It's
call.
really good.
That's a good
No,
call.
it's like it's a great day trip to do, and like the bakeries are so good, like good food, like it's cool. I thought it was weird when I used to hear people talk about it. I was like, what do you mean? And then I went, and I was like, no, this is actually pretty cool. It's sick.
You know, okay, I have to tell you guys this really quick story, but my biggest memory of Solvang was we did a bike race there. It was like a 50-mile
Yeah, it was 50
bike
miles.
race, and I was just getting used to like the bike,
With
the clipless pedals, and I didn't. You guys, it was such a train wreck. Like I did not practice a lot, kind of like just doing it. And so I think I remember us like sort of me practicing doing this, working with my clipless pedals while we were there. And I fell and it was a mess, but it was beautiful. So yes, go to Solvang. The food is great. It feels like you're like in this Scandinavian town.
Yes, like you're like, and then it's not that far from Santa Barbara. It's like 30 minutes, and it's like you
Yeah.
feel like you're in a whole another world.
It's beautiful.
Love it.
You guys, this is so fun. I'm so glad that in the last month or so, you and I have been able, both of us, all three of us, and now all four of us have been able to connect and talk and be on each other's shows. And now we'll have to get together, whether it's in Santa Barbara or the IE, and go for a run and eat and hang out and all the things. This has been so much fun, you guys. Thank you for coming on our show.
Absolutely.
All right, cool, you guys. Well, let's
Appreciate you.
catch up soon. So happy to connect. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, great.
And so good to meet you both. And we'll put, for everybody listening, we'll put all of your information in the show notes, how to find you guys individually, how to find Two Black Runners podcast, all the things. Can't wait to meet you guys in person.
Yes, it'll be
Thank
sooner
you.
than later. I'm sure we're gonna.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
sure
see
we'll
y'all. We'll see
each
y'all.
other when we're at meets now. Everybody, oh, what?
I know,
Yeah, we'll be
I
looking
know.
for you.
Yeah, we
now
will.
Now we know
For
faces,
sure.
so we'll be looking.
Everyone, thank you so much for checking out this latest episode of the Sweet Run podcast. Two Black Runners, Aaron and Joshua Potts. You guys were awesome. We appreciate everything you do for distance running, cross country, all the interviews that you do around the country, and definitely the love you have for each other and the sport. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this coming out on YouTube as well as the audio version of the podcast. And please stay tuned for next week. We're bringing out more great content with some new runners in new places. Check us out next week. Peace.